Drive joints and motion studies. In this video, we'll use animate joint, animate model, and create a motion study. In Fusion 360, we want to carry on with our air cylinder and mount. Now we want to talk about some of the other options we have for mechanical motion. First, we're going to take a look at animating joints and animating models. We're going to take a look at the slider joint. We're going to right click and notice that we have several different options. We've already set up our joint limits, but we can also drive the joint, animate the joint, and animate the model. When we drive a joint, we're giving it a very specific position. In most cases, this very specific position will either be a numerical value or an angle. We say OK, then we can determine whether or not we want to revert or capture that position. This can be helpful for circular objects that have a revolute joint and you want to set them to a specific angle. If we right-click on slider again and we animate the joint, notice that the air cylinder body is moving back and forth to the extents of our joint limit. When we use this option, we can hit escape to stop the animation. Animate joint will take a look at only the single joint we have selected, and it will not respect any other joints that are applied to the model. However, if we select animate model, it will also take into account any other joints. This is extremely helpful if we have complex linkage systems, things that have multiple revolute or slider joints that rely on each other. This way you can animate the various joints at the same time by using this simple option to go back and forth to the extent of the joint limits. Let's go ahead and hit escape to end that. Next, from the Assemble dropdown, we're going to select an option to create a motion study. A motion study will allow us to select specific joints, and we can determine their values based on those selections at different timestamps. For example, at 40, we might want this to go minus 5.5 inches. At 80, we might want it to go back to 0. If we set this to loop and we play through, it will allow it to go to its extents back and forth. However, this can also include multiple joints. For example, at 40, we might want this to go up 15 degrees. And at 80, we might want it to go to negative 45 degrees. So as we play through the animation, we can get a good idea as to the limits of our specific joints and the mechanisms that they're driving. This can again be extremely helpful if you have circular components that you need to animate revolving through 360 degrees and simply loop it to go back and forth through the animation as you analyze the mechanics of your design. Once we select OK, a motion study folder is created at the top of the browser, and we can go back to the motion study at any point in time to edit or even remove it. At this point, let's navigate back to a home position. Let's revert, and let's make sure that we save the design before moving on.